Welcome to Health Styles Market. My name is Arlys and I'm the owner. So today we're going to continue talking about our block of sleep. It's a foundation building block in care for the chronically ill, and it's a big one. There's lots you can do, and we want to become more and more aware of when we're getting our best night's sleep. Some people can remember way back when they had their best night's sleep, so we want to talk about the details of that. We want you to think about it, what was different then than what is different now, and what changes can we make so that you can have improved sleep. So one thing I want to just mention that is common for people is you want to keep tabs on the timing. You want to pay attention to what time you prepare, whatever your preparation is, and how long it takes to lay down and be ready to shut out the light. We're not talking about lay down and keep exposed to blue light. I know lots of people tell me that they read on their Kindle, but if you do that and you're able to roll over and fall asleep, great. But if it affects your sleep, then be honest about it. If you have the freedom to sleep in whenever, and you don't have a morning schedule, those are your choices. But if you have the pressure of waking up to an alarm and you got to pound forward, your feet hit the ground and you got to move forward and let's go, 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 consider that then. Every single factor matters, maybe not. So these are ideas, and you want to take the ones that'll work best for you, throw the rest away. So I want to mention another aspect of sleep. We talked in the last one about melatonin. I know that that helps you stay asleep. It's not really a big deal in helping you fall asleep, and I'll go into that in the next segment. But I want to mention about people that wake up in the night. And one of the most common times is from 1 to 3 a.m. And they find that they're just wide awake and nothing seems to help them fall back asleep. So the Chinese came up with a circadian rhythm and lots of information about that, and that the body has a time clock, and that each segment, each block of time on that 24-hour clock relates to an organ in the body. So someone that wakes up from 1 to 3 a.m. finds often that that's a liver issue. And it doesn't mean that it's a liver issue that shows up on your blood work. But your body might start showing a little bit of liver struggle here and there. Not enough to get a diagnosis, but just it's starting. Or you become aware of it. So that block of 1 to 3 a.m. is liver. And so one of the ways we can take care of it and maybe make a difference in your sleeping, something to consider, is that you just take a liver supplement. And generally we just take one pill at bedtime. It's just sort of a bedtime support. Now it really has nothing really to most of the time helping you fall asleep, but it could have something to do with staying asleep. And a lot of times people find that taking a little bit of liver supplement at bedtime helps them in time, not usually the first night, but in time of taking this consistently. Not all of them, you're just taking one. This is just 3 examples of liver supplements that are very popular at our store with our customers. And so you just take one at bedtime, and you find a few nights, maybe a week or 2, and you're starting to no longer wake up from 1 to 3 a.m. So there's another time that's common, and that's 3 to 5 a.m. And often the most effective method of treating that issue is that you find you have stored in your lungs, that's the time of lungs, is that lungs hold our grief. And maybe we've lost someone we love. And I know for myself that this happened. Even though I know this, I share this with customers, teach about it, But when it was my own opportunity or my own experience, my mom died first in the fall, and the following summer my dad passed away. So they were 10 months apart, and that really isn't so relevant, but I hadn't even really finished grieving my mom's death when my dad passed away. They were in their late 80s and they were ready, but it is still a loss. Your parents are your parents. So what you find is that it just wakes you up, and no matter what you try, you can't fall asleep. So through the years, what I've learned is the most effective is just to get up in that little block of time and get comfortable. So whether you need a robe on or you need pajamas or whatever you need to do to be comfortable, and then you go away from the bedroom, especially if your spouse is trying to sleep. You go out in the living room or to your office or wherever you need to be at home so you can concentrate, and you pull out your tablet. We just have a cheap notebook from Walmart, and it's a journal. You can use it as a journal, and you can buy a fancy one and do whatever you want, but you can also just do, a couple dollars for a tablet at Walmart. So what's nice about it is we're going to just journal, and we may or may not know what grief is actually stored in our lungs. Maybe we think it's my mom and dad, maybe it's not. It could be any variety of issues. So we just start writing. And the goal is to write until it makes you cry, till it brings up the tears, brings up the grief. We get out the Kleenex and we cry, and we close the journal. We've done our purpose of journaling. We journaled until it brought up the grief, it brought up the tears, maybe it brought up anger. Whatever emotion it brings up, we process it by journaling. This is not an English report. No one's going to see this. No one's going to grade it. You can write whatever you want. And after you get that up and out, you're able to go back to sleep and sleep. Many people can sleep deep. And it's just like they're not carrying that load right now. And you don't have to tell anybody. You just know you did that for yourself. And when they wake up, a lot of people will tell me they feel like they lost weight. Well, you did. You lost the grief and the emotions of whatever your body is processing. So that's what these little ones are for. And then we're going to move on. So if you remember in the last segment, I asked you, do you remember when your best night of sleep was, and what did it look like? And so we talked a little bit about different things that affect that, and changes maybe you could make or you could consider making or think about making. And so I had Crystal create for me a supporting sleep tracker. And so there's different ways that you can use this, but I'm going to read this to you, and she's also going to post it down below in the class description so you can go to that connecting website and print a copy and give these some thought. So one idea is to avoid caffeine 8 hours before trying to go to sleep. So your caffeine is morning, midday, that kind of thing. Another is get direct sun exposure during the daylight, and especially first early morning sun. So it's as soon as the sun is rising, so 7, 8, 6:30 to 8:30, 6:30 to 9 in the morning is kind of the time frame for that. Another thing you can try is to make sure your room is cool. The temperature, lower the temperature. For some people, that really is effective. Another is to keep your room as dark as possible. And of course, now we have the darkening shades, which makes it so easy. If you're trying to work on this and you don't know if you want to use those, just throw a blanket over the little frame that you have your curtains hung on, and just try that. A dark blanket, and just throw that over. Take it off in the daytime. Another is some people benefit from using a sleep mask. And that's the little mask, kind of like your little glasses, and they're in that area, and you just put it on your head. And some people, that drives them nuts. They can't stand that. Others, it's so relaxing to them. It also helps to kind of shut down their mind. I don't know why, but it is. A lot of people do well if they avoid food within 3 hours of sleeping. My husband is longer than that. and I need to eat a bedtime snack. That still works for me, and it works really well. We need to exercise regularly, even if it's just walking or walking on your treadmill, but you need to do it earlier in the day. That's actually best. The body responds best if we do that in the morning rather than at night. Start to wind down at 9 p.m. if you want to go to bed at 10. Think about your evening bedtime routine and what do you want to do in order to be able to go to bed at 10 and lay down and fall asleep. Try melatonin. We talked about that. Avoid electronics and TV an hour before bed. So many people are affected by this feeling of inside, maybe not externally, but inside they're just always on duty. And sometimes we just need to shut those down and be off duty. Some people benefit by taking a foot bath or a whole body bath in the bathtub with Epsom salts, a nice warm bath. Another idea is a weighted blanket. And that is so beneficial for a lot of people, especially highly sensitive people. Wear soft, comfortable clothing to bed with no tags. That's a relatively new invention and it is wonderful. Try a white noise machine or a fan in your room, and it just kind of blocks out outdoor noise or noise from the rest of the house. And so then you can also spray your pillow with lavender, chamomile. Both of those essential oils, or one or the other, is very calming. It's very soothing. Lavender even helps with pain. Another is to add calcium and magnesium to your nightly supplements. I'll talk more about that in the next segment. But calcium and magnesium, just so you know, are known as nature's tranquilizers. Isn't that neat? That's an easy supplement to add. Try L-theanine. That's one that calms the brain. And that's for calming and relaxation and helping the brain to just calm down. Another one is, does your spouse snore, or the person you share your bedroom with? That's a consideration. And there's a lot of people that are either awakened sometime during the night, or they're kept awake, or they can't fall asleep because the other person in their bedroom is a snorer, and they fall asleep and have no awareness that they're affecting you or keeping you awake. Another one that I've become more aware of in the last few years is, do your pets sleep with you? So people will tell me, well, I had to get up 3 times last night to, let the dog out, or take care of the cat, or do something for the cat. I'm not saying you don't love your pets, but your pets have no awareness that they're disturbing your sleep and that it's affecting your health and that you are chronically ill and you need to make some changes in order to improve a few things that are going on. To work better with your medications and your other health issues, you want to make changes so that your sleep can improve. So you really want to give this some thought, and we'll talk in depth a little bit more next time about supporting your sleep tracker and some of the things you can do and changes you can make. So that's all for today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you can give some thought to what can I do to get a good night's sleep. And think back to what was your best night's sleep ever. And we'll talk more in depth about that. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.